Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Thailand. My name's Tim Newton and we're at Villa Newton today doing the program. We're actually in Phuket for the whole week. Now today we're talking about getting rid of face masks. We're getting rid of the 12 o'clock closing time. Cinderella will be happy with that, and also getting rid of the Thailand Pass. We've got a special guest too on today's Good Morning Thailand.
Please help us by clicking the like and subscribe button. Thank you, guys.
Well, here we go, take two, as we try and come to you live from Phuket. Looks like somebody cut the cable between the island and the mainland, or something's happened anyway. We apologise for the people that were joining us, but for everybody else who's here for the first time, you have no idea what we're talking about. Anyway, it's great to have you with us, and I've got Mike Kenner with me.
Hey, good morning, Tim.
Mike, of course, all the way from the top of the Thaiger and the organisation that we all work for. And Mike's also from the UK. Your parents have come to visit us.
That's correct, yeah.
Now, what sort of age group are they now?
So they're just early 70s, so yeah, they're good health.
So they arrived in Phuket last week. What happened?
So it was actually my sibling arrived, my younger sister, long flight from London with two kids, turned up to the airport. I rented a car, I have my own car to obviously, take them back, obviously a bit too much luggage. So the first interactions we had was with the Phuket taxis. So I went over to the meter taxi and, my tolerance for this is extremely low now because it's happened so many times. So I live about 15 minutes from the airport. So number one, they just did not want to take us because I've got my own car and they did not like that. They wanted to take everyone in the car or no one. So I'm like, look, I just need you to take the prams for the children and that's it. So
same price?
Yeah, same price. There's no one in the car, just put the prams in the taxi, follow us back to the villa and it's all good.
But there'd be no one to buy anything at the jewellery store.
Possibly.
Yeah.
So they tried it. So they started coming up with, some interesting pricing structures. Let's just say, so listen, it's
meter.
Yeah, so it's not the money, it's the principle here of what they're doing. So they said 600 baht. And I'm thinking, look, it's 15 minutes to my house here. It's just down the road. It should be anything more than 300. And at that point, they were like, 15 minutes, 40 minutes, 2 hours. You think you tourist. It was just really, really rude and obnoxious. And my family like, look, just pay the money. Let's just go. And it ended up becoming a bit of a row. They actually just wouldn't leave in the end, the taxis. The female driver got out and she started having a whole discussion with their, her colleagues in Thai. And it just felt like, how can we get the most out of these people? And it was, I just literally lost it. I got so annoyed and, I guess it happens in all cities. In all cities, you have,
Well, it doesn't happen in Bangkok, because if you go to Don Muang or if you go to Suvarnabhumi Airport, the taxis are all lined up there. You get a ticket, they use their meter, and it's a half-hour trip from Suvarnabhumi into central Bangkok, 220 baht. Half an hour in a taxi here, 600 baht.
No, true. I think Bangkok has got their stuff in order now. I think, it happens on some other islands, but I think if you turn up in London, you get ripped off by the black taxis, they'll charge you a distortionate amount to go anywhere. But it was the fact that, it was the price. They was also very rude about this. And I've seen it before where, say, for example, there's two people both staying in the same area but different hotels. The taxis will refuse to take them together. It would only be one stop. You can't do multiple stops. And it's just basically, it's extortion.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's about it.
It's just, it leaves a bad taste when you come in if that's the first point of arrival for welcome to this beautiful island with all these great people. And these people are not representative of really what Thailand is at all.
That's a very good point. Another thing that obviously is slowing people coming back are some restrictions that still remain, Mike, and that includes the closing times at the moment, the Thailand Pass, of course, and face masks. Now, we'll get into that in a moment. You're probably wondering what we've got here. You might know that your queen, well, technically she's
your
my queen too,
yeah.
She has had her Jubilee celebrations over the past weekend. Now, she did a famous little video clip with Paddington the bear. I'm not aware of Paddington. He's a bit of an English thing, I take it. Do you know Paddington?
And not too well, unfortunately.
Not too well.
Yeah.
He's the one with the red hat and the...
I'm not going to comment because I just don't know enough, unfortunately,
Okay.
and I'll get a load of stick from
But the two of them were having marmalade sandwiches or something, which I sort of usually know marmalade as a thing that you put on toast. So we're going to do that a little bit later in the program. It's good enough for the Queen and Paddington Bear. It's good enough for us.
Can't wait.
So there's a push from a lot of the stakeholders, Mike, to change the midnight closing time, which is the official closing time, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, to make it officially 2 a.m. Now, there may be some places already operating till 2 a.m. Maybe they've greased the wheels. I think it's a nice way to say that. But it's gone further than that. Now we've got the tourism minister who's openly calling for the removal of the Thailand Pass. And we've got the public health minister who seems to be sort of waxing and waning between saying get rid of the Thailand Pass and we still need face masks. He can't make up his mind. But you've got the whole hospitality and tourism industry now, which are baying for blood. They're saying we've got to get the place open again. So do you think, I mean, for your parents, obviously, this wasn't an impediment. They still decided to come.
Correct.
But there are people out there that's going to say, I don't want to do an online application. I don't want to wear a face mask while I'm there. I am not going to go until I can drink until after midnight. Do you still think these things are big impediments?
The thing is that when you come here, I think the apple fell far from the tree because when you go into a hotel, there are no face masks. So you would wear a face mask maybe on check-in. You know, my parents staying in an area of the Laguna, no face masks. No one is wearing face masks. The staff are wearing face masks. But this is in public areas, inside and outside. But I think, look, tourists just can't be bothered with this. It's just like, this is pointless. And I think it goes as far as if you're in the street or riding a bike, you know, you still see locals wearing face masks, and you feel pressure on this as a...
That's the point, though, isn't it? Even though you're thinking, I don't think I'll wear one. Nobody seems to be making me, but it's still in the back of your mind all the time.
Yeah, I've just given up because the truth is that you get the tourists, they're not doing it. The expats, you feel some sort of guilt. And the Thais are very compliant. And you see it so much where you see guys or females in cars by themselves wearing face masks. It's very, very strange because they're sat by themselves with no passengers. I think, look, the face masks in public areas 100% have to go. I don't really understand why. If, for example, if you're driving on a motorcycle, why on earth would you wear a face mask, especially with no helmet, which is everyone's doing. So it doesn't make too much sense to me. I can understand some rationale for maybe in very, very crowded indoor areas. But the truth is that it's not being kept anywhere. I mean, there was a party in Cafe Del Mar that happened. I mean, I'd imagine there was, you know...
Everybody was wearing face masks.
Yeah, I saw all the pictures. Of course they were. So look, it has to be all or nothing here. Either they're going to be compliant with face masks, which I don't think is a good idea, or we just come to terms with, listen, this is the end. Let's just get rid of it because let's go back to normal and enjoy our livelihood and freedom. I think that's where I stand on the face mask issue.
Is that us sort of being a little bit, this is the way they're doing it overseas, so they should be doing it like this in Thailand? Are we being a little bit colonial?
Possibly, but I think what we're seeing, what's happening overseas, you know, like especially I relate to the UK, where I'm from and what my friends and family are telling me, where it's literally just, you know, there is no face mask. And I feel like this could be applied here. We have everyone vaccinated, you know, we have now all the private hospitals are offering vaccinations, at any point. If you want to book in, you get one the next day.
Yeah.
So we don't have the shortage anymore, what we had previously. So the question would be, if everyone who wants to get vaccinated can get vaccinated, right? You know, what else is there? We can't, it's not enjoyable wearing a face mask. It's so hot here, you know, you start sweating.
Do you still notice that? I mean, I'm past noticing that, to be honest. I've sort of been doing it for 2 years and I don't really notice. But I appreciate some people obviously find it uncomfortable.
Yeah, well, you know, I've got slightly big ears and the straps pull my
Never
ears.
noticed before, Mike.
Well, there you go, right? Like, I highlight the point. But I think it's uncomfortable. I think it's unenjoyable. I mean, if you think about the long flights you have to take here, 14 hours wearing a face mask, yet you can take it off to eat. So people hold their drink for like 4 hours very, very slowly.
So your parents had to wear the face mask on the plane?
Yeah.
Who do they fly with?
I think my parents flew with Thai Airways, my sister flew with Emirates, so separate airlines.
But both required face masks?
I think for the second leg to Thailand.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, it's all compliant. But I think, so the face mask issue, I think, let's just remove them in public places. That will be a start. And hopefully we can progress to no face masks anywhere because.
Well, okay, let's go to the Thailand Pass. Do you think it is still a big impediment? Are there going to be people, I'm sure we'll get people here online, and thank you very much to all the people that are saying hello to us. And we apologise once again for the little cock up earlier this morning with our technical stuff. But do you still think people are going to go, oh, I'd like to go to Thailand. Oh, hang on, they've got a thing called the Thailand Pass. Is that still an issue?
So I understand initially why they put through the Thailand Pass, because it was scary times. No one knew what was going to happen. Someone comes with this Omicron variant. We had no idea. We're all going to die, blah, blah, blah. But it's turned into instead of being a health pass to allow you to come here and make sure the safety of the people are being, withheld, it seems to be like a registration platform for just coming to Thailand now. So where it was visa on arrival, it seems to be that this process has now been put in place pre the visa on arrival.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if they're actually going to try and if they actually really want to remove this, because it gives them a good idea of who's coming. I mean, they're gathering information well ahead of people actually turning up there.
Yeah, I always thought that if you were going to have a thing called the Thailand Pass, if you wanted to keep it going, you'd have to change the name of it because it's just got such bad rap now. But if there was a queue for what's called the Thailand Gold Pass, that you pre-enter your accommodation, your flight details, and your maybe vaccination information and passport number, just the basic stuff. And then you get your own queue when you arrive. Then I think people would probably use it, especially if you could do it on an app on your phone and that app actually worked. Then I think people would say, okay, that's cool. I'd like to go through immigration faster. Or even when they arrive, they scan their QR code and just march straight through the luggage. That would be great.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? I mean, the thing is that there are pre-registration systems that exist in other countries. For example, the US, you would have to fill out online and an e-visa. It might be more simple, and I think that the systems have evolved. I don't see why this is in place currently. You don't need a test to come to Thailand right now. I mean, as far as I know, my family weren't tested. You don't have to be vaccinated,
No.
but there is probably some restrictions
If
around.
you come in unvaccinated or under-vaccinated, that means that you will be given an ATK test at the airport on arrival.
Okay.
My only problem with that is they're sort of back in that same situation people were 3 or 4 months ago when they were testing on arrival. That what happens if you test negative? Off to hospital. So that's a risk for unvaccinated people.
I think just the rules aren't clear, and it does represent a real problem.
Did you read the Thai?
I do read the Thaiger
Missed that one.
sometimes, but I think the rules are unclear, and I think people are confused. What can they do? What can't they do?
Yeah,
This is the question I have for my family. Do I have to wear a mask outside? I was like, well, actually, yesterday they rescinded you have to wear a mask outside, and the next day it's
That was
back
in
in,
Phuket, yeah.
and it's just
It's confusing.
It's amateurish, and they need to really just make their bed and and reassess it in a few months' time. As opposed to we're going to just change our minds. But
the thing is, with all these reductions and restrictions that they've already applied, the number of cases has gone down, down, down. The number of deaths has gone down, down, down. The fact that people aren't wearing masks largely in the tourist areas like the nightlife, the cases are still going down, down, down. So they've got all this evidence to show them that they don't really need this requirement anymore.
I think they're just, they're doing things very slowly. It would be nice if they just made the leap of faith and said, right, okay, let's end this.
Leap of faith.
Yeah, but...
Okay, we're calling on the Thai government to make a leap of faith. There you go. And one of the cameras, my camera's turned off, Jason, just so you know. So while Jason's working that out, we're going to get into our next topic, and we're going to talk about scouting. Did you do scouting in the UK?
So I didn't...
You would have looked great in a little scout uniform.
I didn't mandatory, but unfortunately for me, instead of joining football camp, my parents sent me something called brass band, where I had to march around in a hat, in kind of like a cadets type, outfit, playing a flute.
Hang on, it was a brass band and you were playing the flute.
Or a recorder, something.
You got the short end of the straw, I think.
But do you know what?
I could see you with a tuba, perhaps.
It didn't really benefit me at all. When everyone was learning sports, I was learning this, turning up at school. You can imagine you get a stick not knowing how to play football, but you can play a recorder instead. It didn't really help. Thanks, mum and dad for that one. That really helped me in my social climb.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I did it somewhat, but not mandatory.
So let's have a talk about what's happening here in Thailand. I was rather surprised to find out that the Scouting Association has been operating in Thailand since the 1920s, and they were the 4th country to adopt Scouting, which of course is a British invention.
Okay.
Lord Baden-Powell, I think he got a bad rap the last 20 years or so. He wasn't apparently a very nice person. But all that aside, so there's a bit of an uproar in Thai social media where they've got people now saying, look, the kids have to do Scouts once a week. And we'll talk about the benefit of Scouting generally. But they're saying, oh, the uniforms are expensive. But now we understand that they actually get some sort of subsidy for the Scout and their school uniforms as part of the free education that all Thai kids can receive for, I think, 15 years. That's a long time, isn't it? Oh, that would take, from 4 up to 19. Yeah, it seems they're getting a lot of free education. But I was sort of surprised to see that they took on this very Western idea of Scouting, and the concepts of be prepared and sort of the whole idea behind Scouting and the British Empire and all that, and Paddington Bear, how that sort of fitted into Thai society. So, yeah, I was a bit surprised to see that Scouting is a big thing in Thailand.
I mean, when I'm thinking about it, it doesn't surprise me because it's very authoritarian. And
militaristic, the uniform, the lapels. Okay.
And what they have a conscription in Thailand, is that correct?
Yes.
I know it's like a lottery conscription. So I think it does kind of fit in with, the youth moving into, the conscription in terms of the military. So I think it kind of lines up equally. But I think it's probably a waste of time, is the honest truth. That's just my guess. No offence to any head scouts over there.
But isn't it good to have something in schools where they're learning about sort of life lessons, and even if it's just going on a camp and learning how to look after yourself and learning the idea of independence? Heaven forbid that Thai students could learn about independence. I mean, it's not really a strong trait we see from the Thai education system.
But I just think there's better things they can learn. Like the Thai
trading in Bitcoin or something.
Well, just when you were talking about life lessons, stuff they can actually use and utilise later on. I mean,
isn't that what sort of Scouts is partly about?
I mean, how often you can have to light a fire? We're gonna, the zombie apocalypse comes and all the heaters go. Like I've had this.
Then it would be very useful.
Yeah, it would be very, very useful when the zombies come. But until then, I mean, you probably should educate them in how to, to benefit them and their families in a much more financially stable way. That's what I recommend.
The basket weaving badge.
Okay.
So that set me up for life, basically.
And how many baskets have you weaved since?
Not a lot. I don't actually think I ever weaved a basket, but I apparently read about it.
I mean,
I just remember one of the Scoutmasters was taken away by the police one day. We didn't know what happened. We found out later that, well, anyway,
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I think like the team working and this is important, but you can apply this in other aspects, which might be useful later on. But yeah, so there probably are some great fundamentals. I'm not knocking on this part of community, but if you're asking my opinion, would I recommend my kids join the Scouts? No. That's the honest truth. I mean, it's not for everyone.
It's a bit of a throwback to the last century.
Yeah.
Okay. But you're right. I think the uniforms were attractive. Oh, we have to wear a uniform.
Yeah, I mean, kids wearing uniform, it's not they don't look forward to it. And I think if you go to university with the uniforms, it's very much a uniform society,
yes.
Especially.
Did you have to wear a uniform at school?
I did until I was 16, and then when I went to the higher education, you could not wear. But they made you wear a suit. It was ridiculous, with 16 to 18.
This is at Eton, was it?
No, it's just a small school, but not Eton.
I had to wear a uniform all the way through my school life, and that's now why I wear ridiculous flowery shirts. Let's have a quick break, Mike. We've got things to come back and have a talk about, including the GT200. We'll find out what that's about. And also, Indonesia has had the jump on Thailand with an introduction of some new visas. I think there's some lessons to be learned here as well. Also about a new red line that's connecting to Don Mueang Airport. All that's coming up on Good Morning Thailand.
At Regent's International School Pattaya, we are really excited to be introducing the A-level programme alongside the International Baccalaureate Diploma programme. We are offering these two programmes really to prepare students best for university wherever they choose to go in the world.
And you're on Good Morning Thailand. Just to say that Jay today is getting his driver's licence. So there's no way he'd be able to be here at 10 o'clock. But he's in Phuket, because that's sort of his original home, getting his Thai driver's licence. Did you get yours?
I failed, unfortunately.
So, okay. How did you get here today?
I walked a long way.
And getting a driver's licence in Thailand for foreigners can be either really easy or sometimes unbelievably
Can I just tell you my story quickly?
Go for it.
So fine, all the theory I passed, someone gave me all the exams and, so we knew all the questions before, that was great. But when I actually went to do the driving test, the actual physical test, I was the only foreigner there. And they announced the instructions in Thai and then just told me to go. So I just drove around and came back and stopped. And they just said failed. I couldn't understand. And they didn't tell me what to do. And I was just like, look, I can't be bothered to go back and do this again. The whole palaver. So now I just don't drive. Wink, wink. But much, yeah.
So, yeah, I think a lot of people have had some it's probably my most hated thing to do in Thailand is to go anywhere near the Transport Department office, especially the one in Phuket.
Ugh.
There's a lady at the door that sort of, says which counter you go to. I call her the door bitch.
Oh, she's so rude, isn't she?
Oh, she is the nastiest person, and she knows me, and she eyeballs me when I come through the door, and she goes, okay, I'm going to make this bastard's life hell today. And she does every single time.
Maybe she's just playing hard to get.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a wooing technique.
Jason, did you get a license in Thailand?
I just went yesterday.
You went yesterday?
Yeah.
Car license?
Did you get it?
Oh, okay.
No.
Or did you go to Khao San Road and buy it?
Well, I did not go yet.
Okay.
But I went there with my...
We can't hear you, by the way, but...
No, I can hear myself.
Okay.
And then I didn't get my driving license.
How did you get here today?
Well, it's not expired yet.
Oh, okay. So you're getting it. All right. Anyway, it is a some sort of a grey line where you should have a license. You should have a license. And if you get in a car accident, if you don't have a license, run for your life. Okay, let's get into another part, Jason, as he lines up Natty. So we're crossing back to Bangkok and finding out all the headlines in Good Morning Thailand. By the way, we'll get to your comments very soon. But we're coming to you from Phuket today. This is Mike Kenner. And now we're crossing over to Natty in the Bangkok office.
The Thai government is being slammed by opposition party Move Forward for wasting almost 7.6 million baht of its budget on GT200 bomb detectors that were only good enough to be used as, quote, cat poop scoop, end quote. The GT200 was produced by UK-based Global Technical Limited, who claimed the device could detect from a distance various substances, including explosives and drugs. The UK government, however, banned the export of the devices in January 2010 and warned foreign governments that the GT200 are wholly ineffective at detecting bombs and explosives. Passengers using the new SRT Red Line is on the up. As of last week, 14,000 people have been using the SRT Red Line on a daily basis. Back in November 2021, there were only around 2,000 to 3,000 commuters taking the train. But since the beginning of the year, it jumped from 8,000 to 9,000 until it hit more than 10,000 last month. The SRT is expecting to see 30,000 commuters in 2022. And lastly, a tattoo artist's controversial sexy makeover of a Thai goddess on his Facebook page is going viral. Tattoo artist Ajahn Do changed the traditional costume on a Thai wealth goddess Nang Kwak to a sexy dress. The response to the post has been mixed, with some passionately defending the makeover, while others think it is sacrilege and inappropriate. The goddess of wealth and luck, or Nang Kwak, is presented in a statue or amulet of a woman in a beckoning gesture. The figure is popular among Thai business owners, especially restaurant owners. Atanto is famous for his traditional Thai tattoo patterns, which are believed to bring luck, wealth, power, and strength to people who have them on their bodies.
And welcome back to Good Morning Thailand. Single camera version now because the battery's gone on the top one, apart from the internet issues earlier. Anyway, Mike Kenner is here with me, and very happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Now, if it was good enough for the Queen and Paddington Bear, it's good enough for us, so we're going to have some marmalade toast, because that's what you do. This crappy old toaster, the button's fallen off, so I have to push. Anyway, it works. So we're going to have that, and we've got this Smucker's marmalade. I would have thought an imported marmalade in Thailand might have come from the UK, because it's a very UK thing. Apparently it comes from Oklahoma in USA.
Okay, nice.
So we're about to find out, because you're going to be eating this.
Great.
So you get a knife,
Thank you.
and then you get a bit of a serviette, just in case you make a mess there. So there you go.
Thank you.
And have you seen Paddington Bear and Her Majesty the Queen?
I haven't actually.
I'll just find it for you very quickly. You can have a quick look. So did you see Her Majesty the Queen and the Queen of England, of course I'm talking about. Did you see her do that thing? Because I thought it was quite funny. Here we go, I'll just show you very quickly.
Perhaps you would like a marmalade sandwich. I always keep one for emergencies.
So do I. I keep mine in here. For later.
Brilliant. All right, cool.
So she's looking very, very well. 94 years old?
Amazing.
So were your parents sort of excited that there was all these Jubilee activities, or did they leave Britain to get away from them and come to Thailand?
No, my parents are very pro-monarchy. Well, when I say pro-monarchy, they have a lot of respect and for the Queen specifically. And
Okay.
I don't know how it works post this, but definitely the Queen, they're a big fan of. Yeah.
I've got a funny feeling there would be quite a few people in Australia which still retains the head of state of England as our head of state, in a sort of a technical sense. I've got a funny feeling. We'll just turn these over, by the way. There we go. Pardon fingers. I did wash my hands earlier and use hand sanitizer. That as soon as Her Majesty shuffles off the mortal coil, and let's hope that's a long way away, that there is no way in hell that they're going to have a doff-eared idiot as their head of state.
It's a contentious subject. I mean,
Will be very interesting to see what happens. Somebody said to me, "Oh, we have to retain the British monarchy because I love Camilla's clothes." Like, really? Is that your best reason? You're not talking much about it. You can talk. You're not in. They're not going to throw you in the Tower of London.
Yeah, I'm definitely not pro-monarchy in relation to having any monarchy. I respect the Queen. I think, you know.
So, what would you have? A president? Or would you have an elected prime minister, perhaps?
I've just seen what's happened in Thailand, and in relation to obviously the last king dying and replaced with a new monarchy, and I just feel like it's time that it's a nice concept. But
what about the tradition and the pomp and circumstance and all the ceremony and the tradition and the history?
But I think it's dying off in the younger generations. I just think this is something, for... It's not something just for the older generation, but I think it's becoming less and less important. People know these are just people. There's a lack of respect for godlike figures.
With somewhat dysfunctional families in that particular case.
Yeah, and with all this coming out, with Meghan and Harry and everything else, and all the... I'm not too sure. I try not to get involved. It's always a very contentious subject, talking about
would be
monarchy.
in the UK.
Yeah.
There you go. That's
Thank
for you.
Very
That's for
much
me.
burnt toast.
So I'm going to put this in here. Would you like some, Jason? Oh, look, lathering it on.
Cool.
Lathering it on.
That's going to add a few pounds for you, Tim.
Oh, no.
No? Is this
There we are. Cut it up.
All right.
So I keep mine in my handbag. There you are, Jason. One for you.
Thank you.
There you go. So you say you don't really like marmalade much? You're not a big marmalade fan?
I'm not the biggest fan, to be honest. I'm trying to stay off the bread, actually. You know what it's like in Thailand. You're not
I can see it's working.
Well, trying to start.
What about rice?
I'm trying to avoid all of this at the moment. You come here and I'm so used to running outside and...
Do your parents like Thai food?
They don't like it too spicy. I gave my
Well,
dad
okay.
some interesting soup the other night, and
Somtam.
yeah, something similar. And the taste buds, they can't get accustomed to it. So yeah, they're not the biggest fan of spicy food. But I think Thai in the UK is like a delicacy. It's I say delicacy, it's an exotic kind of, eat out, which is very expensive. So coming here, where it's quite affordable, it's really nice for them.
Genghis Khan asking, is butter not a thing in Australian boarding schools? I have to admit, I didn't bring the butter out because it would have to sit here for half an hour and it would be absolutely melted by the time. But usually we would have
Not bad.
some butter.
That's not bad.
Not bad. There you go. By the way, where is it? It's Snuckers or Smuckers? What brand?
Smuckers are actually paying us to do this, by the way.
Paying us
They've paid us a lot of money just to put this right here.
We'll send them a proposal after the show. Let's have a talk about bomb detectors. This was an amazing story. You can imagine the Thai army being told, we've got something called a GT200 bomb detector. Now, Thailand has had its problems and its challenges in the deep south. Obviously, there's been the insurgency there for over 20 years now, where some 7,000 people have been killed. So clearly, a thing like a bomb detector would be very useful for the Thai army. So these detectors, Jason's got some photos there so you can see what we're talking about. One of the ministry the other day described it as looking like a cat poop scoop with 2 plastic antennas. And that's about it. You could just scoop up the cat poop, and it appears that's about all it's good for. Because, surprise, surprise, there's actually nothing inside that black box. There was no electronics. Just got these 2 plastic antenna, and they were told that it could detect bombs. Now, this company was sold by a very enterprising UK company.
There they go.
Called Global Technical, and the owner, Gary Bolton, was convicted in 2013 on 2 charges of fraud relating to the sale and manufacture of the GT200 and sentenced to 7 years in prison. Now, you can find that out in about 20 seconds on Google. But no, the Thai government have just spent 7.5 million baht to go and retest to make sure that it didn't work, so they could report back to the army and tell them they couldn't work. They could have given it to me and I would have been able to go tap, tap, that's bullshit, in about 10 seconds.
I mean,
what's going on?
There's some red flags.
Big red flags.
You have to, if you just go to Google and type in GT 2000 bomb detector, the first article is by Wikipedia. It says the GT100 is a fraudulent remote substance detector. I mean, if you just Googled it, it will be just straight there, and then followed by 3 or 4 other articles talking about the fraudulent nature of this. So I'm not too sure where the 7.5 million baht went and what type of research they did. It was probably a few meetings to discuss how they're going to search for.
Have a think about it, just physically, physics.
Yep.
That use your chemistry 101 and your electronics 101. How would a bomb detector work? What is it detecting? Is it detecting faint amounts of TNT? Is it detecting the electronics, the electromagnetic radiation caused by the connection of the bomb? I mean, what is it? Or is it a metal detector? A metal detector would have been much more useful, but by the time you were close enough, tap, tap, boom.
But I guess you could just have, technically, I have no idea what I'm talking about here. So gunpowder in a bottle with no metal.
Neither did the army.
Yeah, maybe I should get involved. Gunpowder in a bottle and light it and you're going to have an explosion. I don't know what exactly. It's obviously a difficult one, and fair play to all the companies out there looking to do bomb prevention in a good and upstanding manner. Obviously, we don't want bombs.
Of course.
Yeah, anywhere. But this just seems like a waste of money, is the honest truth, to invest in a fraudulent company already ousted for doing this.
And published that information on the internet, some 20 years old. Move Forward Party MP criticised the Ministry of Defence, which is headed up, by the way, by the Thai PM, stating the government wasted 7.5 million baht to investigate a useless plastic box. I can say if the army wants to check out any of their other plastic boxes, the Thaiger would like to pivot into doing these tests for you, and you can send your check to 7.5 million baht. Just address it to Mike Kenner. Would you like the last bit for you? Okay, I'll keep it here for you. Let's have a talk about another thing. This is an area where I think that Thailand might have missed the boat. Apart from not getting rid of the Thailand Pass early enough, apart from insisting that we still wear face masks, apart from the midnight curfews, they're still making it, I think, too difficult for people to come and live here. Okay, your parents come here, they can get a 30 plus 30 day tourist visa, fantastic. But for people that would like to come and live here, now they may be over 50 and they may want to retire. Now, it could be, they could be 30 or 40 and want to retire in Thailand. No option for them. And for the people over 50 that want to retire, they have to have a minimum amount of money in the bank and paperwork about this thick. So it's not easy now to retain or retain your O-type visa or OA-type visa. So it seems to me that the Thai government should be doing anything they can to get people to come and stay here. Because tourists come here for a week and they pay X amount, but the long-termers come and spend money for 365 days. Indonesian government, on the other hand, have now introduced a new, what are they calling it, I don't think it's actually got a name, but the tourism minister, Sandiago Uno, it's a nice name, believes that they can attract 3.6 million travellers with special remote worker visas for up to 5 years. That makes sense.
100%. I mean, especially post-pandemic or at the end of this pandemic, what we believe, where people are now having the ability to work remotely, and this is now, not just the new thing, it is the thing currently. I mean, a lot of people are probably looking at, the surroundings thinking, oh, I would love to come and live in Thailand and we work remotely. But coming in, it's just not clear. I think the government needs to get an independent, external consultation company to come up with a good plan, a good structure, and very clear and transparent on how this works.
When we're not testing bombs, we could do that as part of the Thaiger. We could be the government's consultant about long-term visas. Solved.
True. And, it has to be, like, when I came here with X amount of capital. I had a business in London that did really well. Came out here. To come and live here was very challenging. I had to set up a Thai company that was owned by, a nominee shareholder. The whole thing was a mess. There was no clear route for someone with money or without money to come here and set up shop, which is only going to benefit the economy because you're hiring, Thai locals. I think that, along with all the tedious rules about reporting, I mean, what you even
90-day reporting.
What are you reporting for?
Well, we have staff that do that for us.
Yeah, but
so what's the use?
Yeah, but
we're not fronting up.
What we're reporting, that right now we might be here, but tomorrow we're going to be somewhere else. I mean, I think the concept is dated. They need to update this and remove it. I mean,
and the app rarely works, and the online reporting rarely works. Jason, you have to do 90-day reporting still?
I have a residency.
Oh, you have residency now.
Very nice.
La-di-da. So this is is that working?
Sound's still working, just the camera's turned off.
So if you're missing our picture at the moment, don't worry, we are still here and we'll keep on talking. So both cameras are gone now. We're still here, we'll keep talking. So this is radio. Good morning, Thailand. And Mike is now taking his shirt off.
Ooh.
Whoa, Mike, that's looking fancy. Okay, so let's have a talk about the other options. So in Thailand, they've got a thing called a smart visa.
Yeah.
And the smart visa is 5 by 5, so you can get up to 10 years. And that gives options that you can bring your kids and your family. This sounds great, but there's money involved in this to apply for it, and it's only for a certain skill set. So if you're a former banker from London and you just want to come over here and just live and maybe do a bit of share transactions, there's still nothing for you.
No, it's difficult. The smart visa, I've looked into them to understand, could we apply these to our businesses? But the truth is, if I was the head of the economy, what would that be called? And the economy minister, the minister in charge of, whatever, right? You want to get people here that have money that can prime the economy to start spending and have some sort of trickle-down effect somewhere. So there just needs to be routes for people with or without money who want to come and make money. I agree that taxation, it's the issue, isn't it? A lot of foreigners want to come here but not pay any tax. They want to bring income from their home country or make money here.
But is that the Thai government's problem? That's sort of their own country's problem. And maybe they need to introduce some, say, okay, if you're going to do business here, we'll give you this visa. However, every year you're going to have to submit some sort of taxation return.
Yeah, and I think
that's fair.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think, so I think where they're going to go with this is they allow digital nomads to come in at some point very clearly, but you'd have to produce X amount of income. And I think it's hard for guys who are starting up a business, but then if you don't do this, and everyone will say we're starting a business, we have no income. So I think they want to obviously, get taxation money into the country. And I think they would have to have, in my opinion anyway, they would have to have some form of taxation basis to do this, because the work permits at the moment, I think a foreigner has to declare minimum 50,000 baht of income to, gain a work permit. You can't say you're going to make 10,000 baht because they need their minimum taxation amount they're going to receive from you.
Yeah.
So,
and the paperwork involved with processing these work permits, I mean, to get any visa, the amount of paperwork, you'll find it quite astonishing. Now, we're not saying that it's not difficult to get a visa in a lot of other countries as well. But for Thailand, it just does seem to have its own level of sort of insanity or difficulty.
Yeah. It just needs to be a clear process where you understand where you are along the process of the application, where in Thailand at the moment, you apply and you don't really know where you are and you're basically waiting, and then you go to an interview which you're not prepared for, and it's all very, very complicated. You just be A, B, C, D, E. This is what you need to do along the line. And if you do it and you have all the requirements, you will get your visa. And
okay,
then,
I'm putting the immigration boss's hat on. Mike, what about the foreign criminals?
it's a good question. I mean,
How do you stop the foreign criminals from taking advantage of this and using Thailand as a refuge?
you could have a background check that's part of this to find out if you have, a criminal record in your country. But even if you did for some misdemeanor that was minor, should that, stop you applying for a visa? You've already, if you have a criminal record, you've already been punished for your criminal activities. It's going to be hard. There needs to be some sort of accountability. I think it's the same with Thais. You were saying that, okay, foreign criminals will come here. I mean, Thais are doing criminal activities. I see gambling rings all set up,
Really?
The majority of the places that open are Thai-owned, facilitating our 6 a.m. parties that I happen to go to, where it's all shutting at 12. So I think, you can't just be like, crime has to be tackled as a whole, as opposed to applying a crime unit for tackling foreigner, expats living here.
By the way, there's a bit of movement behind the cameras at the moment. Jason's got his soldering iron out and the Lego set out. So I don't know what he's doing, but he's doing it a lot. Okay, so they're not on. We're on radio.
On radio.
Welcome to Radio and Radio Good Morning Thailand. And we'll say thanks to everybody for watching. We apologise for the mistakes. We'll get them sorted out by tomorrow. Mike Kenneth, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, as always. I've enjoyed it today.
And thank you very much to our listeners and their patience. We apologise, our listeners. We apologise for the errors we've had. Thanks very much, as we mentioned at the start of the program, our sponsor, which is, just so I can be reminded, Regent International School in Pattaya, which if you want to bring up a child in Thailand, there's a very, very good place to do it. Regent International School in Pattaya, thank you. Thank you to all I don't even know, I'm still looking at the camera. Thank you very much to everybody for hanging in there, and we'll see you tomorrow.